Welcome back everyone. Today I want to take a quick look at Indiana Jones on the 6800 XT because I was genuinely curious to see if we could do 4K 60 even though we have some limitations like lack of FSR as of right now. But first, let's look at 1440p real quick. The version of the game that we're going to look at today is the Game Pass version. The Steam version has one difference that I've noticed. It has a full screen mode, and the Game Pass version does not, only has borderless and window. But I haven't noticed a performance difference between the two. And yeah, the 1440p, the 6800 XT does really well. So the jungle level has been a level that's a bit more demanding. Now, I haven't played a lot of the game because I haven't had a lot of time, and I've worked on a lot of other videos for this game throughout this week, but I've been told that the Vatican level can be quite a bit heavy. So I might make another video on that and kind of clump a few of my GPUs and maybe do a CPU test because I've heard from people that it's quite a bit CPU intensive. Although looking at the game here in the jungle level, the 6800 XT at 1440p, it runs really well. As you can see, we're averaging 80 FPS or so with 74 FPS 1% lows. It's really good. And the only thing that kind of stands out if you look at the frame time graph is that there's these like tiny little hitches that just kind of randomly happen. Now the game does not really stutter when that happens. You can tell that they're tiny and very small. I probably wouldn't even notice them if I didn't have the frame time graph in front of me. So I would say the game feels pretty smooth. And obviously the cutscenes are locked at 60, no matter the GPU or resolution. If we fast forward over to the roam level, this area is not as demanding as the jungle, so we do get slightly more FPS. Again, we still get those tiny little hitches, but overall it feels pretty smooth to play. It looks really nice. And I find a little bit surprising here is that I did get a few comments in my YouTube videos, because I made quite a few videos on this game already. Like I said, is that some people saying that they're having performance issues with their 6800 XTs, and I didn't really see that playing the game for a little bit here, checking it out at 1440p, but also 4K. We're going to look at 4K a bit more in detail, but yeah, I feel this GPU does extremely well in this game. Kind of surprising if you take into account that the game uses ray-traced global illumination. The RX 6000 GPUs are not known for their ray tracing prowess. But yeah, 1440p, the 6800 XT does a really good job as usual, and this is native 1440p with all the settings maxed out. No full ray tracing, we don't even have access to that. But let's look at 4K. We're going to start back in the jungle at native 4K, obviously with all the settings maxed out. Now, if you notice, there's a couple grayed out settings, one of them being resolution scaling, which is kind of odd because that would be a way we can squeeze a bit more performance, but for whatever reason, it's grayed out. I have, however, heard from people I trust say that it can look a bit blurry, and I think we can make further tweaks, but 45, 46 FPS in the jungle level at native 4K with all the settings maxed out, that's actually not too bad, guys. I think there's a few settings we can tweak to see if we can get to 60. And again, the game is, for the most part, is very smooth. It actually feels smooth, it looks smooth, but we do get those tiny little nicks into the frame time, which again, you don't really feel them while playing. At least I can't, but they're there in the frame time graph. And you might say, well, maybe that's an AMD issue. I know some people are probably going to say that, but it's not, because this is footage of my 7900 XTX in the same exact level with all the settings maxed out. 4K native, just like on the 6800 XT. And as you can see, the frame time on the 7900 XTX it's like it's drawn with a ruler. Very smooth. A quick and easy way to get some extra performance would be to go from full screen to cinematic, and what this does is it changes the aspect ratio from 16:9, which is what my 4K TV is, to 21:9, so essentially ultra wide aspect ratio, which personally I like. I play on an ultra wide 3440 by 1440 display normally anyway, but this game on a 4K OLED TV, even with the black bars, actually looks great, and you gain about 5 more FPS or so. So that's about a 10% gain on performance. So I still think 50 FPS is actually very playable, very enjoyable in this game, but 60 is better. I think that is probably a good minimum to have in PC gaming. Now the problem is this game does not have that many settings you can adjust to increase performance. VRAM, yes, but performance is not that many. Easiest and best way is to upscale, and we don't have access to that yet, unfortunately. But we do have plenty of VRAM, fortunately. Now here's a way that I found to get 4K 60 with the 6800 XT currently, because we don't have access to FSR yet, right? So here we go, 4K, and the one setting that makes a pretty big difference in performance is global illumination quality, and this is ray trace global illumination. You can't escape this. This is how the game works, and it looks really, really nice, to be fair. Now setting global illumination to low will take you from 45 FPS average all the way up to 60 FPS, which is really, really nice, and the game still looks great. As a matter of fact, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell the global illumination is low unless you probably put them side by side. So yeah, the game still looks really, really good. Now the problem is, the caveat is that the global illumination setting is grayed out. You can't really change it. So how did I do it? And another setting that's also grayed out is the resolution scaling, which would allow for dynamic resolution or resolution scaling, so that instead of using FSR, you could have used this, but that's grayed out too. And you know what? You're probably better off waiting for FSR anyway. But how do you change global illumination quality? Well, the only way I figured out how to do it is by changing the overall graphics quality. So if you change that and set it to low, it set global illumination to low. And if you set it to medium, it sets global illumination to medium. Now, medium and high, there isn't a huge difference in performance. I found out you have to use low to get 60 on the 6800 XT. And then what you do is you just go to every single setting and max it out. So these other settings don't cost much performance. Shadow quality is another one that costs a little bit of performance, but it's not really all that much. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. So we're getting 63 FPS, 62, 63 FPS right now. If we go to high, we go to 65, medium 67, and low 68. So it's about 5 FPS, maybe what, like 5 or 6% or something. I would suggest just leaving it on ultra. It looks pretty nice, and you get your 60 FPS anyway. And this is in the jungle too, which is a pretty graphically intensive area to begin with. What about Rome? Well, let's take a quick look at Rome, and then there's a couple other things that we could do to increase the FPS even more. Heading back to Rome sees us go from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. So yeah, pretty good overall performance from the 6800 XT, and the game looks fantastic at 4K too. So yeah, very surprised, very impressed with the performance of the 6800 XT, but I think it's fair to say that some of the credit does go to Machine Games for making a very good looking game that's quite scalable. Now, I still think the game was rushed out a little bit. I think it could have done with a bit more work or time in the oven, because there's been some other issues with the game and not launching with FSR and all that. I think it would have done the game a lot more favors if it just released a little bit later and a bit more feature complete, in my opinion. But still, very scalable game, and it still looks great even with the GI quality set to low. I'd say that overall this qualifies as a 4K 60 experience. Now there is a couple other things you could do. You could drop down the shadow quality from ultra to low or medium. I don't really recommend that, but a quick and easy thing you could do is go to 21:9. And that sees us gain about 10 more FPS or so. So yeah guys, there you have it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the 6800 XT at 1440p. It's obviously no problem. You'll be in the 90s, and at 4K you'll have to sacrifice a little bit of global illumination quality, but I still think the game looks amazing, and you're getting a native 4K experience, well above and beyond what the console's getting anyway, which is to be expected, of course, with the 6800 XT. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Again, like I said, I'm pretty impressed. 6800 XT provides a really good high-end experience. I would consider this high-end. Now, sure, the path tracing is, you know, the next level stuff, but I still think this is a next-gen looking game, and it looks great and runs great on the 6800 XT. But Leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. Give the video a like if you liked it. Consider subscribing for more content, and we'll probably take a look at this again. Once FSR drops, I'll probably clump my 7900 XTX with the 6800 XT together. And depending on how the Vatican is when I get there, maybe we can take another look. Maybe that area really is as heavy and problematic as some people say. I guess time will tell. But for now, judging by the jungle, this is a 4K 60 experience, in my opinion. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Back off!
Trovato! Non